Hey everyone, you're with Matthew, you're in the hub, and you may not know it, but you're in the Matrix too. We're here with Kling, storyteller extraordinaire, but also someone that has come to our adaptive yoga classes. But I want to talk about the changing face and faces in different ages of disability. So I was injured when I was 13, so I could have acquired disability, and then some people are born with disabilities. Kevin is a combination of both. Like, he started off, and I want him to talk a little bit about that. So he came out of the chute with a different kind of arm. Why don't you talk a little bit?
Right. I guess medically it's called TARS syndrome. And
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And so I have 4 fingers on this side and no thumb, and my arm's shorter than my other arm. And so after shows, I tell kids, we can't high five, but we can high four all day. And they come up and high four. And I've always had it, and I've always worn one of these braces. Great if you got a brother, parry thrust. So this thing's, and it's really hard.
It is hard.
It's like an ectoskeleton.
I've never been hit by that. I'm taking that as a good sign.
No, my brother, yeah, he can attest. It was good. But this, so I always had this, and I love it. I've always loved this brace. I've always, I know my parents have said, or even said when I grew up, we wish things would have been different. And I always told them I'm glad they weren't different. I really, I've always, and I know this, it isn't Pollyanna, it's just, I've always considered this a gift, a lucky thing. I always liked that it made me different than other kids.
Really?
Yeah, and I really did always like that.
So
And
you weren't picked on about it or anything, or some a little bit?
I always thought it was their fault if they did. I never really got that.
Do you think that was instilled by your parents?
I don't.
That kind of confidence, because that's
maybe.
That's great.
Well, when I was 3, I went to Shriners Hospital, and my great fear was, he said, we're going to fix your arm. And I told him, absolutely not. I said, that's the last thing I want you to do. And they'll say, and then the Dr. Tippy said, how about if we make it work better? I said, okay, and that's where we met. And because I was really worried he was going to make it normal.
And this is at 3.
Yeah.
So you already had kind of figured what? I mean, that's such an.
I just liked it. I liked it made me different. I loved everything, and it never impeded me. It never impeded anything I've ever done. So I liked it, set me apart. It gave me a perspective. I was always on both the inside and the outside of anything, society, family, school, and I loved that. I always had a perspective.
Do you think that that's part of what led you to become an artist?
No, I know it is, yeah. And rhetoric, I mean,
yeah.
People use different words around me than other kids, and so I started knowing, for example, they would call my arm withered or crippled, or say, you poor thing, or what happened. And then slowly, by the words they chose, then I knew whether they blamed me, my parents, or God or themselves for my condition, and then I could get what I needed out of them.
There is that.
Yeah, because so rhetoric, even as a kid, became really important to me.
And so you started to notice that you were spoken to slightly differently, perceived slightly differently. The way I used to often say it is that, there's so many disadvantages to being in a wheelchair, but the ones that are, I'm going to exploit the hell out of them.
Totally, and especially when you're a kid.
Totally.
But then, so early on, I realized that the how and the what people said and the why people said, but mostly as word choice people used usually gave away more about them than the thought they were trying to convey.
Did you have any trouble? Did you grow up to not like the words, like people feeling sorry for you, or like don't feel sorry for me? Was that ever an issue for you?
I never know, because at home I never got away with anything. My parents were really clear and good about having my rules the same as my brother and my sister's rules.
Did they resent you? Did your brothers and sisters resent you? You didn't get any special attention, so they didn't as much, or?
Well,
I hated to get hit by your brace.
Yeah, but no, I didn't get special attention. I always felt I should have special attention. I was really adamant that it was clear I should have special attention, but my argument never took hold, yeah.
So you started to, because you noticed the word differences around you, did that led you to want to be a storyteller? What was it that started to open your storytelling?
Some of it is even attached to that is I found humor was equally as good as a weapon as it was ways to deal with things, ways to get out of things, and I just saw a report card recently.
A report card?
From grade school, and it said...
Of yours?
Yeah, and it said, Kevin has potential. He has absolutely no understanding of the material, but I'm not worried. That's what a teacher wrote. So clearly my adaptive powers were already at work. But a lot of it is...
What grade was this?
Third, I think.
Third grade.
Ms. Keller, I loved her. And I know my mom laughed her head off when she saw that. But it is, like humor especially. And I still know that when I can laugh at something, it doesn't control me. So I think part of having a disability, part of the idea of the power of humor and the way that humor will disarm somebody. The humor will, it creates family, because humor is not universal. It's specifically family, faith, community. That's why you laugh with somebody. So as soon as you laugh with somebody, they're family. They recognize you as one of their own, one of their tribe.
So there's so many things going on in what you just said that I'd like to go a whole bunch of different ways. But one of them, early on when you said, once I can laugh at something, and I assume you mean authentically and deeply laugh.
Yeah.
Just, it no longer controls you. Can you say a little bit more about that?
Well, they say that the one thing the devil can't stand is mocking. And I think...
I've never heard that.
It's true.
So good. No, it's so good.
I think that is the truth, is that laughter is the one thing the devil can't stand. And by the devil, you can mean anything that, is working against your psyche, your self-image, your health.
Anything hardship that may turn you towards the dark.
Yeah. So
they can't stand mocking.
Yeah. So
that one's I don't know about you, audience, but I'm gonna be stuck with that one for like years to come. I think that's a very simple way of putting it. So it can't stand mocking. But also doesn't laughter have an element? You can't laugh at something unless at least part of you been able to let it go.
Yeah, I mean...
It's a distancing thing, too.
A buddy of mine, Bill Harley, says, laughter is tragedy plus time. And it's because they're always, when you think about anything you laugh about, there's an element of tragedy to it. There's an element of the unknown. Comedy only works and humor only works by a state of surprise, by a sudden loss or change or shift. So something, that's where humor comes from. And so by laughing, that means whatever that shift in your world isn't controlling you anymore, or you wouldn't be able to laugh at it.
So you say humor is tragedy plus time.
That's what Bill says, and I think there's a lot of sense to that.
There's another one of those lines that are just like, because that's just it. I mean, and the surprise element of laughter too, when something is completely unexpected.
That's all it works. It's got to surprise you.
Yeah. And the thing is that if you can't laugh at it, I mean, we all have that kind of wisdom. Like laughter is one of the keys to living a decent life.
Yeah. And
it's one of the reasons I like hanging out with Kevin, is because he keeps me laughing. But so let us know about any places where you actually have used laughter to actually distance yourself and then heal something, because laughter it's also the great connector. I want to talk about that in the next one.
It is, yeah, it is. It connects us with our world, especially, if we want to talk in the world of disability, there's jokes you can only tell with people with disabilities that you can't tell outside that community. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Is that, and every community has that. Teachers have that. Preachers have that. Everybody has those jokes that you should be ashamed of yourself you're laughing at, and they cannot leave this room. But that's the humor that gets you through.
Yeah. And one of the things I'm a little bit worried. Well, worried's a strong word, but one of the things I think that is being lost in some of the current social, political correctness context is we're losing our sense of humor.
I know.
And to me, losing a sense of humor, and we'll touch on this in further segments, is also a loss of resiliency.
I completely agree with you, Matthew. Yeah.
Yeah. If we can't laugh at certain stuff and not take some things not too seriously, like everything's an affront, we lose part of the very fiber of our strength. All right, so we're going to continue in other segments, but think about how laughter informs your life, or humor when it surprises you, and let us know a time or two when it's really helped you through something. Until next time. in the Matrix. Hey, I'm back. If you liked what you saw, there's more coming. To keep up with new releases, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on your notifications.